Rahim.
Charlie, no be joke. The pressure people like Johnnie can give you.
No.
You no get grey hair, you go get grey hair.
I'm innocent.
And that's what I'm saying. That the pressure Johnnie and his people, the pressure they can give you, you no get grey hair, you go get. So your best bet is not to have hair.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And you, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. And surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. Today is a special day for all Ghanaians because it's our president's birthday. And it coincides with the Ghana Black Stars facing off with the Super Eagles. And yesterday, while our Black Stars were training, the lights went off. They wanted the Black Stars to shine in the darkness. But today be today. So we wish the Black Stars well. And we say happy birthday to you, Mr. President. I trust you are fine this morning. You were born in 1944. Which means that you have had opportunity to, as they say in Akan, with the Inchiniache. Since 1944, you are more than 70. You are inching towards 80, 78 years. May God bless you with long life and prosperity and strength. But Mr. President, there's something on my mind this morning that while you celebrate your birthday and go to commission the first phase of the Tamale interchange, there's something on my mind that I want to bring to your attention. I was fortunate to have grown up with both my maternal and my maternal grandfather and grandmother alive. I've had so many older people around me. In fact, my father is just a year older than you. Would have been a year older than you if he had been alive. He was born in 1943. Now, my experience with old people, and particularly their grandchildren and children, is that they always like to share the little they have, even when they know they are not going to get some. So in a traditional setting, in a compound house setting, the grandfather has seen that the grandson or granddaughter has finished eating, but still, if the grandson comes closer, there's a piece of the meat or fish that they will take and give to the grandchild. And you know this, Mr. President, we all know it. So at your age, you're a grandfather to many Ghanaians. We are eating the national meat to the bone, if not already. And because we are eating the national meat to the bone, when grandpa is no longer in power, the grandchildren will have to suffer to be able to get what to eat. Because now we have borrowed more than 80% of our GDP, which means that the future generations, the next 10, 20, 30 years, would have to be paying back what you are borrowing today. We are spending so much on so many things. So, for example, you see, in your first administration, Mr. President, there was something that you did which I loved. You would invite a nominee for a ministerial appointment, and you would tell the nominees what you call his credentials, his qualifications, and then you would tell the nominee what problem you have diagnosed, and then ask the nominee to go and solve it. That was what you did in the first term. And you even had a ministry for monitoring and evaluation. We don't know what they monitored, what they evaluated. But we all saw the results of your first term. One would have thought that you would have changed some of their hands in your first term. But no, you brought them along to the second term. And you know, for a country that is broke, we are paying ex gratia, huge sums of money, coded ex gratia, to all these people, whether they performed or not. We had a ministry for chieftaincy and religious affairs. All of them, they are going to get ex gratia with the deputy ministers that came along with them. So whether they performed or not, because they are Article 71 holders, they are going to benefit from it. But you told them, Mr. President, that you're going to protect the national purse. I shall protect the public purse. You told us. This is not hard to protect the public purse. Where under your watch, Mr. President, we know that the IGP retires on his fat salary, that the Chief of Defense Staff retires on his fat salary, that the Chief Justice retires on their fat salaries, and yet, if perchance we have a time to make them members of the Council of State, and they have to advise you whether you choose to take the advice or not, they still will get monthly allowances, and they still will get paid ex gratia when they are going. How many times does anybody retire to get pension twice or thrice? And that's our situation. And you are a lawyer. Mr. President, you are a lawyer. I would have wished that the kind of enthusiasm and vim and verve you had in opposition, giving all of us hope and telling us that things were not going right, was going to change under you. You told us you were a man in a hurry. Mr. President, under your watch, and today is your birthday, I want you to do some deep introspection. I told you yesterday, Mr. President, respectfully, most of the people around you are not being honest with you. They are just flaming up and fanning up your ego. Sorry about that if you feel hurt about it, but they are just flaming and fanning up your ego for what they can get. How is it, Mr. President, that you promise that you protect the public purse, and yet you have a ministry or ministries, departments and agencies that have public relations officers who have gone for interviews, presented their CVs, have worked as civil servants, have climbed up the ladder? You have those people there, and then when you come, you also appoint spokespersons to do the work of the PRO, and you pay PRO and you pay spokespersons. You're wasting money. Duplicitous roles, Mr. President. This is not how to protect the public purse. There are PROs who are doing the work that has to be done by public relations officers, paid. They were interviewed. They went through the process. They are on a payroll. And then you come and then you have spokesperson for this, spokesperson for that, spokesperson for this, spokesperson for that at the same place. So there's confusion. PRO says one thing, spokesperson says another thing. And at some point when you call them, PRO says, I can't talk about this, call this one. Because most of the decisions are political. And we are paying for it. That is the painful part. We are paying for it. That's the painful part. You have a minister for finance, and then you have a minister of state at the finance ministry who is at the presidency. How? They are ministers at once on the same wavelength. Minister of state at the finance ministry, minister of finance, plus deputies. And I say all of them will get what we call ex gratia after they have finished their work, whether they performed well or not. And we are all seeing the results. Your Ministry of Finance is not performing any magic, Mr. President. They are leading us down a ditch. Yale, Harvard, all those qualifications, and Kusiaga. Here we are now. And the funny thing is that at the slightest opportunity, it used to be free SHS. Everything, free SHS. You ask a question, why is my tap not flowing? Free SHS. Why can't I buy bread? Free SHS. Now it moved from there to COVID. Why can't we do this? Blame COVID. Why can't we do blame? Now it's Russia and Ukraine. What will it be next? Your birthday cake? Play for me the Cocobot chief executive's voice. And he's telling us, you know, we went for a syndicated loan. Kwabena Minta Kando sat here and mentioned it. They wrote a letter and denied it. Today, the farmers are not able to get fertilizer from the government for the 2021-2022 cropping year because they say there's a shortage of fertilizer. And guess what they're blaming? Russia and Ukraine. You took the loan long before Russia and Ukraine. How long have Russia and Ukraine been fighting? How long? 3 months? Barely a month. You have gone for loans. You had a target of 800,000 metric tons for this year. How many have you done? Between 2021 and 2022, the crop year, how many of those ones have you been able to achieve? When we told you that the Chinese are now mechanizing the production of cocoa beans and all of that, your agric minister told us that we should not be scared because they can't produce the same quality. This is the same agric minister now who's what we are buying cassava from China. He's there, Mr. President. The kind of vim and the kind of enthusiasm that heralded your presidency in 2016. I say one day come, let me take you to town. Let's disguise ourselves. Let me take you to town, and you will be shocked at the difference between the reports you get and the real situation on the ground. The grounds are not good. And you see why? People are fighting at your local level elections in your party because they know that once that deal is done, it has an implication on who becomes flag bearer. So now it's become Takashi, inshallah. It is not good. It's not a good sign. I told you earlier, Mr. President, when a grandfather or grandmother lives in a home with their grandchildren, even though the grandchildren might have eaten, when it is time and the kids come to them, they can always break a chunk of the meat and give them. That's what grandfathers do. Grandfathers don't eat the meat to the bone and tell the children to go and sleep. Your people are hungry, Mr. President. Your people are hungry. Now the elite, the upper middle class, they are complaining. They are complaining about how much they spend to buy fuel. They are complaining about how much it costs now to fill their tanks. What used to fill their tanks, even an extra of that, is not able to give them a half tank. They are complaining. Everybody is complaining, apart from the people around you. You are duplicating roles. You are appointing people. See, so you go to, for example, local government ministry. There's a minister. There are 2 deputies. Then there are advisors at the ministry. Then you come here. We're just wasting money. Health ministry, same. There's a PRO who is a civil servant, and then there are spokespersons. All of them chopping from what we say we do not have. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Play Mr. Boanyedu, Dr. Boanyedu's tape for me, and we'll ask him 2 questions as to why we can't find the fertilizer. We'll ask him. Play for me.
When you have that severe harmattan and the environment is dry, the soil is dry, the flowers cannot cope, so they all fall. And that's what is accounting for, the shortfall. Our forecast now is around 820,000 metric tons. That is our forecast for now. But anything at all can happen because we are dealing with a biological crop, and its response to the weather. So if the weather changes, it can also happen that things may change. But for now, using our expertise and the data available, we've placed our forecast at 800.
Now we're blaming Hamatan. But Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you promised us, Mr. President, that we're going to have 1 village, 1 dam. And the argument you made at the time, which everybody applauded, was that you're going to have these dams that will serve as irrigation points for these farms, so that this argument of dry season, because we have only 2 seasons, rainy season and dry season, and we wanted to have an all year round farming season. That was the understanding. So why is Dr. Boanyedu now telling us about harmattan and the dryness and the leaves falling off? Where is the dam? That western part of the country, I told you, cocoa started in the central region, came to the eastern region, and then bounced off down to the western region. Go and check the trees. The trees are being cut. Diseases are affecting it. The farmers are not happy. Have we paid them? The produce buying companies, they are not excited. Cocoa is the mainstay. Before oil came, cocoa and gold was what we were depending on. Today, the cocoa farmer is not happy. Now they can't find fertilizer. Do you know what that means? It means that same situation that persisted in 2021, where the Greek minister again kept promising us and telling us that, we'll have a greater yield in September, we'll have a greater yield in October, we'll have a greater yield in December, there will be abundance of food. We are in March. It's your birthday, 2 days away from the end of the month. Where's the abundant food? And I remember the vetting table, they asked him the question about food availability, abundance, and affordability. 3 questions. It was Honorable Muntaka who asked him that. He got angry. When you have appointees who are supposed to be servants, who wear their emotions on their sleeves, it's dangerous. It is dangerous. So now we are here. Now what does it take to even produce the fertilizers? We teach our Greek to the highest level at Legon. We teach our Greek to the highest level at Tech. We teach our Greek to the highest level at UCC. Why can't we have active ingredients for producing sulfate, ammonia? We say we're going to Russia and its ally Belarus, so because of the war we can't get it. What are our technocrats doing here? Have we empowered them? Because these are the same technocrats who live here and go and teach in those universities. They teach them how to formulate, how to put those things together. So what are we talking about? That we have planted cocoa since the Tetekwashi days. And up until now, the things that we need to make sure that our cocoa yields better, we're still struggling to find them. How? Mr. President, on this your birthday, I want to also remind you, while we talk about cocoa, that you promised the children of Ghana, and I told you the grandfather and grandson scenario, The children of Ghana were promised bars of chocolate by you and one hot cup of cocoa drink by you, Mr. President. The children are expecting it. It's not too late. You have 2 more years, maybe more. Please, Mr. President, today on this special birthday of yours, I just want to remind you that cut down the expenses. It's too much. Cut it down, because you see, it won't make meaning if you say you are cutting 30% of your salary. You are not showing us where you are putting the money and to what purpose you would use it for. But you will continue to employ more people and pad up the numbers and then say that, oh, if they all take 30% off, that's a huge sum of money. Well, 30% is not equal to not having too many people. If you employ 10 people and you take 30% off, it's good. But if you employ 40 people and you take 30% off, we are still going to struggle to pay the extra 30 people. And a country that is broke does not do this. So stop the regime, Mr. President, when you have a PRO and you have a spokesperson. Enough of the party patronage. Enough of it, Mr. President. Enough of it. Ado Preman, Ado Showboy, Ado Guy. I wish you a happy birthday. But think about these things I've said. Danny, here we go.